Hello, welcome to Lisa's Hearts and Crafts. If you're new, get yourself a drink, sit down and buckle up, buttercup. If you're a regular subscriber, thanks for coming and watching my channel, supporting me. It means everything to me. Today, it's a video that I've been thinking about a lot lately. As I mentioned in my last video, I've had quite the journey with regard to self-esteem, self-image, my weight loss journey. Basically, that's what it all revolves around. It's a really sensitive subject, isn't it? In today's world, standards are impossibly hard to keep up, aren't they? We are surrounded, especially in the Western world, with food. Everything revolves around food, or seems to, and it can be a real challenge if you're someone that struggles with weight gain. And I do know and I do appreciate that there are many people that struggle with being able to put weight on, that there's also that challenge for some people, not so widely documented. So before I get into this, I just want to say that me talking about this could be a trigger for some people. So if it's something that you find really difficult, then I do understand this might not be the video for you. I do go into a lot about this is about my journey. I'm not recommending it. I'm not saying that I've done everything right. What am I trying to say? What I'm trying to say is this is just my personal experience. And glean from it what you will. And if you're interested, then buckle up, buttercup, and let me dive into it. I'll try and get my handy dandy editor to insert some photos at different points that she feels are good places, of photos of myself through my last 57 years. I was a normal size baby. I think I was about 8 pounds. A good size, but not abnormally big or abnormally small. And I was born in 1969. So I'm 57 years young. My story sort of starts in my mind when I was about 5 years old, because up until that point I had an absolutely normal childhood. Mother, father, older brother, 5 years older than me, and you don't remember much, do you, of your early years. So a very big life event happened when I was 5, and that was my father left the marital home, and me, my mum and my brother became a one-parent family. This was very, very distressing time, particularly for my mum. And over the next 2 years, we had a back and forth, really. My father came back for a very short period of time, and then he left again. And my mum absolutely broke down at that point. And myself and my brother became carers to my mum. She had an emotional, mental, physical breakdown, everything. But she really, really worked hard to keep the family unit together, and tried her hardest to make us happy. And one of the ways that she did that was expressing love through food. Now, we were very hard up financially, so we were counting the pennies, and one thing that could be afforded or needed to be was food, and we would be filled up on cheap, abundant cheap food, often in the form of chips from the chip shop, sweets, chocolate, fizzy, bread, lots of bread. Pasta wasn't really a thing in those days. It hadn't really taken off in this country, so it was mostly bread and potatoes, which I loved, absolutely loved. So my recollection is that as a child, up until the age of about 7, I was a normal sized child. Yeah, I didn't stand out as different to anybody else, and hopefully I've got a photo that will be inserted here, showing just me as a regular normal weight. But very quickly the pounds began to pile on, and yes, I wasn't really aware of it at that time as a child until I started to get comments from well-meaning family members and adults, and then children. It became obvious that I started to look very different to other children. So as the years ticked by from that point where I'd started to gain weight, it steadily went on. Our eating habits as a little family were such that we couldn't do a lot as a family, but what we could do was eat. And so even at a young age, if we went to the chip shop, which we frequently did, I was brought as a 7-year-old a double portion of chips, fizzy tomato sauce, and slices of white bread to go with it, which I devoured and enjoyed thoroughly, but my body kept gaining weight. And this was interspersed with wacky diets. I say wacky diets, maybe they weren't wacky. I went to a silhouette club with my mum. It's called Silhouette, and I learned a lot about food there, and calories. It was very much calories in, calories out, and counting calories. So I began to be educated about how many calories were in food, the good foods and the bad foods. And what generally used to happen is that once a week me and my mum would get weighed, and after our weigh-in we'd have a treat day. That would be our treat day, and we would go to a little cafe called the Baker's Oven, and we would have a double portion of chips, bacon and peas, and a Belgian cream bun to follow. And then we would go to the sweetie shop and we would buy Mars bars, which in those days were much bigger than they are now, and crisps and fizzy. And we would go home and we'd have a big tea, and then in the evening we'd eat our chocolate and our fizzy, and we'd stuff our faces because that was our treat day. Nothing counted on our treat day. Then we would starve ourselves for the next 6 days coming up to our weigh-in day, and we would eat celery with a little bit of salt sprinkled on it. Yum. we would eat jelly, a lot of low-calorie jelly. Any of the recipes we were given at our Silhouette Club, and then that changed into a Weight Watchers Club. All the recipes of the lowest amount of calories, but that would fill our bellies. Yeah, we invested in that and made it, and we ate 6 days of the week, as little few calories as possible. And then, on the weigh-in day, we'd get weighed, and we'd either lost, stayed the same, or gained. And then we'd have our treat day. And that carried on for years and years. And suffice it to say, that didn't work. I learned a lot about food nutrition, but psychologically, food was a treat. Food became a comfort, and I started having this guilt complex with food. Hang on, there's Lola wanting her bally ball. Yeah, so that was when my relationship with food got very squiffy. Good food, bad food, I'm being good, I'm being bad. Yeah, and none of this should be blamed on my mum or my family members. She was trying her hardest to bring up 2 young children and make them happy under very, very difficult circumstances. I steadily gained weight and did all the diets, the fruit and fibre diet, the Rosemary Connolly diet. We did all the exercise classes, Calonetics and Pilates, all the things. Counting calories in and out, and starving, and then binging, and yeah, it was all not great. As I began to put weight on, I obviously drew attention to myself, particularly at school, and yeah, I was the fat freaky kid, and I had all sorts of experiences, a lot of bullying, yeah, and I became a people pleaser. I tried desperately to make people like me and want to be my friend, by being a comedian, by giving as much as I could to people, just so that they would desperately, so that I could be liked. That was hard. It was hard. I had school teachers bring me to one side and talk to me about my weight. And I was a child. I remember one time I was at secondary school, so I must have been about 13. And the PE teacher asked me to go in her office in front of the whole class, and it was the last PE lesson before the summer holidays. So what had I done wrong? I went into the office and she left the door open, and she said, "Right, Lisa, you've got 6 weeks. I want you to lose weight. I want you to come back in September and have lost weight, because this isn't good. You're struggling to do sports. You're often bringing in a note to
excuse you from sports, because I hated PE lessons, because I couldn't wear the PE kit everybody else wore because they didn't do it in my size. By this time, I was about 18 stone. At the age of 11, I was 18 stone 3. So they didn't, in those days, they didn't do clothes for children in that size. So I had to be taken to like old lady shops and wear clothes for outsize, they often used to call it, outsize people. So elasticated pleated skirts and shapeless sort of almost like maternity wear, which just made me look even more different to everybody else. I was humiliated having to then go walk back in front of the class, all giggling and laughing and nudging each other. Yeah, that was awful, awful. I had a lot of bullying at school, from teachers and children. My legs used to rub together and they used to get blisters and sore. Yeah, struggled to keep cool in the summer, so I'd get bright red-faced. And I very rarely used to eat at school, because if I ate, then I'd get comments about being fat. So I can remember one occasion when a teacher that particularly used to comment about my size was coming along the corridor, and I'd just been offered, my friend had just offered me a crisp out of her packet. I didn't have a packet of crisps, and I took a crisp, and then I saw this teacher coming along the corridor, so I put it in my mouth and swallowed it, and it got stuck in my throat. And I managed to sort of keep calm while the teacher passed, but then once the teacher passed, I was like, and thankfully my friend had the sense to bash me on the back, and eventually the crisp came up. I could have choked to death. It was awful, and that was all because I was frightened to be seen eating at school because of all the horrible comments. She said, "You're going to school tomorrow, no matter how ill you feel." Yeah, so my school days were very difficult. I used to get bullied physically. I used to get punched and hit because I suppose I wasn't popular, and I wasn't, I didn't stick up for myself. I just used to, you know, duck and dive. So that was my school days. Really just traumatic, absolutely traumatic. I can remember at one point, I didn't realise it, but every Sunday I'd get ill, and it was because I didn't want to go to school on the Monday. And usually it would be sick. I felt sick, which I think it must have been just nerves. And I'd got bellyache. And anyway, Mum had taken me backwards and forwards to the doctors. And then after about 3 weeks, the doctor said, "I think there's something more to this. We've ruled everything out. She's absolutely fine, but I think she's worried about something." if it's particularly happening on a Sunday, she's worrying about going to school on the Monday, you need to get to the bottom of it. So what my mum did is she said to me on the next Sunday, when I said, oh, I don't feel very well, Mum. Oh, I don't feel very well. Oh dear, I don't think I can go to school tomorrow. I don't feel very well. She said, you're going to school tomorrow, no matter how ill you feel, you're going. Well, I absolutely lost it and broke down in tears, sobbing. And she said, tell me, what is it? Something's going on at school. What is it? And at that point, I realised what it was. I said, you know, the girls that I'm with, they're being horrible to me and they're calling me names and they're running off, you know, and we used to save seats for each other and they used to save seats for them, but not for me. And they used to get each other's coats off the coat hooks and they'd leave mine there and then run off laughing, and silly things when you think. But as a child, that was really important to me. They didn't want me with them because I wasn't popular. I was the fat girl and they didn't want me. So it came to that head where Mum said, you're going. I'm sorry, but you're going. And bless her, she was really good. She said, look, what I want you to do is there any other girls at school that are nice to you? And I said a few names and she said, right, we'll get you into school early tomorrow before these nasty girls get in. And I want you to wait for the nice girls. And when they come in, just say to them, can I sit with you? Would you mind if I sit on your table and go around with you at break times? And she said, leave the other girls, the other two that are being nasty. You don't need them. So, yeah, I was sweating, I was worried. But, yeah, I went into school. I asked these other 3 girls if I could go around with them. And they said, yeah, of course you can. And that's what happened. And for a few months, I went around with this different little set of girls. And, you know, I was okay, you know. And then these other 2 girls gradually accepted me back into their little group, and I sort of went between the 2. So I'd never really got acceptance, but I'd got someone I could sit with and someone I could be with at break times and that. But yeah, school was really, really difficult. It got to the point where we had, back in those days, we had work experience, and I'd put down that I'd like to be a nurse. So I got work experience at a local hospital, but I was worried to death that they wouldn't have a uniform for me. So the work experience started in the September. So when we broke up for the summer in the July, I starved myself that summer. Absolutely starved myself, and I lost 5 stone. So when I went back to school in the September and I was fitted for the uniform to work at the hospital, they'd got one for me to fit. So that was such a relief, and it was, you know, I was so grateful because I didn't want to, it was a humiliation. And everybody would praise me for losing weight. But of course, I, you know, started to eat when I went on the work experience, because you've got to eat. You can't starve yourself all the time, can you? And gradually it all went back on again and more, because it was the whole diet. So I used to, it was this diet, and then binge, basically binge. So yeah, that was my school days, and I was, you know, I ended up, I was always big. You'll see photos that are in, but you know, it meant that every single mouth of food, every single meal time, I dreaded. and that carried on right through my adult years. I lost weight because I was interested in boys, and I lost about 5 stone. And in that time I met Mr. P, and I was still curvy, but I was looking, you know, fairly good. But as soon as I got married, I thought, well, if I eat the same as he eats, I should be like him, and he was lovely and slim. Did that happen? No. I married my wonderful Mr. P, and I felt beautiful in my wedding dress, absolutely beautiful. But yes, the next year I thought, if I just eat what he eats, I'll be okay. Of course I wasn't, and I gained, I think, about 3 stone that first year of marriage. And then we started having a family, and I can remember getting up to about 16 stone when I was pregnant with Joshua, my eldest, and I had him. And then I spent the next 2 years diet, and got down to about 12 stone. And then I fell pregnant for my son. And in that pregnancy, I dieted throughout the whole pregnancy, went to Weight Watchers, and I only put on about 1 stone, which was quite good. And then I had my second son, Joseph, and I can remember feeling really good. He was 10 days old, and I'd got people saying, oh, well done, Lisa, you don't even look like you've had a baby. And I was on cloud 9. Well, about 9 months after I had Joseph, I found out I was expecting our 3rd baby. And yeah, the weight piled on that time, and I put on 3 stone and had my 3rd child. And then I was dieting. By this time I was into Slimming World. That had come into fashion. I was Slimming World. Red days, green days, free food, eat as much as you like. Stuffing it down. I was on the red days and the green days. Green days were my favourite because you could eat carbs on green days. So I would trough it through bowls of pasta saying, it's free food, I'm fine. Oh dear, when I think now. So that wasn't successful. And then all the 3 children that were under 5, they all eventually went to school, and I could concentrate on myself a bit more. And I joined a gym, and I worked out at the gym, and I worked out, and I starved myself. And again, I got right back down to about 12 stone, which is still quite a size, but for me that was good from 18, 19 stone. Yes, and then I found out I was expecting our 4th baby, and I've completely fell off the wagon then, because I thought I'd finished my family. And yeah, I found that quite hard. I'd had a breakdown, and I was not coping at all, and I ate for comfort. And I ate. And again, I was back up to 18, 19 stone by the time she was born. And she was a 10 pound, just half an ounce off a 10-pound baby. And then I got on the merry-go-round of dieting after she was born. And yeah, I was worn out, absolutely worn out. But a medication came out called Reductil, and it was an appetite suppressant, and the doctor prescribed it me. That was the best thing since sliced bread. I didn't feel hungry. So I starved myself, living off cubes of mango and not needing to eat because I didn't feel hungry, and all the weight fell off me. But then the government, NICE, the organisation that says whether drugs can be registered in the country, found that some people on this Reductil had started having heart problems, so they took it off the list of accepted drugs, and I couldn't get it anymore. And you got it, all the weight piled back on. So hopefully you'll have seen interspersed the photos of me being slimmer and then bigger, and yeah, it was awful, absolutely awful, plagued my every day. What happened then? Well, we moved up the north of the country and to a very underprivileged, deprived area. And there was a new scheme because a lot of people in this area were overweight, and there was a new scheme where the NHS would fund for overweight people weight loss surgery. Hallelujah. So I went on a year's course to prove that I was exercising. So I joined a gym, and I was going 5 times a week to the gym, and I was going on weekly diet classes, which I could have run them myself because I knew it all from all the weight loss classes I've been to. And I did a NHS weight loss exercise class. And because I did all of those things for a year, they agreed to pay for weight loss surgery. So I was so grateful and thrilled, and I had 3/4 of my stomach cut away, and I was left with a pouch the size of an egg cup or an egg. So what did that do? Well, I went in for my weight loss surgery, and we didn't tell anybody but very, very close family members, because I was happy to tell people, but Mr. P, he didn't want me to get other people's opinions and advice. He was trying to protect me from hurtful, unkind comments. So I went in for my surgery, and that wasn't easy. But I come out, and all I could eat were like teaspoons of baby food. And you start on baby food, and then gradually, when you can tolerate like lumps, you go on to lumpy baby food. And I went on to lumpy baby food, and then you go on to crispy foods. And basically, you can only eat minuscule amounts of food for about 6 to 9 months, and you gradually work up to when you can start to chew proper food, and you're given a lot of dietary advice to concentrate on protein. You're not allowed to drink half an hour before a meal or half an hour afterwards, because that flushes the food through your system. They want it to stay in your stomach so that you can, because you're eating so little, they want you to absorb the minerals and vitamins and nutrients out of the food. So you have to go on injections for the rest of your life for vitamins. You have to take multivitamins for the rest of your life. And you're never able to eat normal portions of food ever again. It is not an easy fix, but I was committed and still am committed, and it was a really good thing for me. But it is not a cure-all. You can, if you graze, you can't eat big plates of food, but if you eat little amounts all through the day, you can still get in more calories. And they call some foods slider foods, like ice cream, custard, mashed potato, gravy, foods that are easy to go down, and they can slip down and go through your stomach quicker, but you're consuming lots of calories. Well, I lost 6 stone. Having weight loss surgery, and for about 2 years I kept that 6 stone off. But then as I was able to eat a bit more and maybe graze, because let's face it, it's nice eating, isn't it? Eating's nice, it's nice to taste food. Gradually over the months, a pound here and a pound there, so not vast amounts, went on. So I went from a weight of about 12 stone, that was the lowest I got to. I got to 13 stone 10. And I was desperate because I could see it just going back up. And I was still not being able to eat lots of food, but I was gaining weight because I was eating a bit more regularly, because you're hungry. It doesn't take away your hunger. You are hungry. And then what happened? Well, then what happened is weight loss injections. So I started on, it was Saxenda. Again, like the Reductil that I'd taken that had come off the market in this country, the Saxenda meant I wasn't hungry. So I just hardly ate, because you're not thinking of food because you're not hungry. And the weight started to come off again. And over the next, well, up until now, really, I lost more weight to the size I am now. And yes, I'm still on the weight loss injections, but I'm on a maintenance dose now, because I tried to come off the weight loss injection and the weight started creeping on again. When you're someone that puts weight on, it's like a disease. You can't eat normal portions of food and stay the same weight. Some people's bodies don't work like that, and you will gain weight. And I'm one of them. But with a low dose of the weight loss injection, and with my stomach that's the size of an egg cup, I can maintain this weight, but I still have to work hard at it. And I eat very little. My family will tell you that. So food for me is not a pleasure. But I feel accepted visually. I feel accepted. And to me, that's really important, because I am mentally scarred from my experiences being a fat person. I've been made to feel fat, lazy, smelly, fat, dirty, by people that are meant to love me and just the wider population. And I know that's all untrue, but it mucks you up mentally, and it has me. So yeah, that's my story. Ask me any questions you like and I'll do my best to answer them. I really feel for anybody that's overweight and struggles with their weight. Please don't judge people that are big, please, because it can ruin your life. It can absolutely ruin your life. I know my thinking isn't balanced because of the experiences I've had and the battle I've had. Yeah, but that's my story. So here's some more photos. tell me about your experiences. Ask me any questions, and that's fine. Yeah, it's a minefield, isn't it? But thanks for listening if you got this far. One thing I do want to say is my children and my husband have never, ever, ever made, and my mother and my father, my stepdad have never, ever made me feel bad. They've always championed me and loved me for who I am. And if you've got people in your life and family that are larger, please love them for who they are and don't label them. They're trying really, really hard and they just want to be loved. Thanks for listening.